All right. Greetings, everyone. I am Mark Little, host of CareQuest. Tonight we have Kaye Ginsberg. I'm happy to have her on the show with us. Going to read a little bit about Kaye. Kaye learned about the senior move management through the experience of helping her out of state mother move from her longtime home to an assisted living community. Peace of mind transition began with a conversation with her husband at the kitchen table when Kaye decided to take the plunge and start her own business. I love stories like that. Kaye's favorite part of the business is the people. She enjoys meeting clients who have an interesting story to tell. So let's count this down and let's bring Kaye on. Welcome to the show, Kaye.
Thank you. How are you?
Doing good, very good. How's your day been?
It's been busy, but very good. Can't
It's always a
complain.
good thing. Trying
Yeah,
to stay out of the rain and the heat, right?
I know we've got a storm brewing right now. So,
Well, Kaye, I appreciate you taking the time to join me on the show here. So let's just kick things off and just tell us a little bit about yourself.
yes, so I own a company called Peace of Mind Transitions. We're senior move managers helping older adults and their families transition from a large home they've lived in for a long time into a smaller space.
Mm-hmm.
As you mentioned in the intro, I started the business after going through it with my own mother. My background is actually in marketing and advertising. I spent a number of years working in the ad business in New York, and then I was in publishing. I worked at Condé Nast Publications, was on the launch team for Condé Nast Traveler magazine. So I have a great background in marketing, but until I started Peace of Mind Transitions, I had never run a company or, been an entrepreneur. I sort of call myself an accidental entrepreneur. I got into this business because I really saw a need for it. And we've just continued to grow over the past 8 years. And it's all just because, we're passionate about what we do, kind of like you. We are here to help people through what can be a difficult time. And everyone on our team just loves what we do and how we can help people. And as you said, also at the beginning, I love meeting so many interesting people, and the older generation has so many stories and so many lessons for us. So it really is a gift, I think, for us to work with them, and we try to really help them through what can be a difficult time.
I think that is awesome, Kaye. And I have been self-employed my entire life, so I love stories like that. I love to see someone like yourself that you're not even looking to start a business. You're just out there and living life, doing your thing, and then life happens and you stumble across a very emotional situation. You're sitting there going through something with your mom, and you quickly identified, hey, wait a minute, I see a need here. And,
Exactly.
I can imagine the conversation that you and your husband had, and poof, here you are, right? I
Exactly.
I think that is awesome. So with that said, what is a senior move manager?
Yes, so we specialize in working with older adults and helping them through the whole move process. So we're not a moving company, but we
Mhm.
manage all the logistics. So we always start with a complimentary home visit to meet the client, understand what their needs are, explain our services, and then we can put together a plan. But
Mhm.
usually our plan includes creating a floor plan for the new space. We take a look at
Oh,
what you have now and what you want to take with you, because that's really important. So, and once we know what's moving with the client, then we can help them with downsizing and sorting. So we actually help our clients sort through cabinets and closets and garages and attics and basements, and just making decisions on what they will keep, maybe what will go to family, and what will they can try to sell or donate. So that's a big part of what we do. And you can imagine that's very emotional at times.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times we're like a shoulder to cry on.
Yep.
I think we're also a nice independent third party because we want to hear all the stories and we honor the stories and memories behind things where sometimes I know I've been guilty of it with my own mother. It's more like, I've heard that story. I just, let's just make the decision and move on. And
Yeah.
so it's nice to have somebody fresh sometimes come in and help with that process. And then our team does all the packing because we pack very specifically for unpacking, if that makes sense.
It does.
We use smaller boxes. Everything in that box is going to the same space in the new home. It's clearly labeled. We take lots of pictures. Then we work with an outside traditional moving company that will come in and do all the heavy lifting, but we're there to manage that.
Mm.
And then our favorite part is unpacking and completely setting up the new home. So we're organizing the cabinets and closets again. We're hanging artwork, wall mounting TVs. We take away all the boxes and we vacuum up behind ourselves. And, our clients walk in and it's their home just in a smaller space. And
Yeah.
the best part of the job is we usually get a hug at the end of the day because people are just so thankful for all the help that we went through.
Right, is a hug.
Yes.
I think that what you just shared is a bigger statement. And I want people to understand being able to come in and lay out a floor plan for the new place. Because as we all know, and for those that may not know, obviously when you go in and looking to go into assisted living or memory care, a lot of people don't realize how small some of the rooms look. Obviously, when they're properly furnished, they are bigger than they look.
Yeah.
But what an important piece of that to be able to help people navigate the decision-making process of what to leave, what to keep, what to store. That's a big part of it because that can get overwhelming.
And a lot of times we'll suggest, there might be a chest of drawers or, some sort of family piece of furniture that they would want to keep in the family. And a lot of times it is a chest. And we'll say, put that in your bedroom and use that instead of the matching dresser. You don't have to have matching furniture. This is the time to think outside the box and keep the things that are important and meaningful to you. And so I think that's really important as well. And I will tell you, I've been in this business for almost 8 years now. And we lay out the floor plan. We know everything's going to fit, but occasionally I still have that moment when we walk in and I go, oh, I think it's all going to fit in here because they really do look so small when they're empty. But
they do.
And when you get all the furniture in and everything, it's beautiful and there's art on the wall and then it's home. But yeah, we still have a few of those moments ourselves.
Exactly. Well, what's the best piece of advice that you can say to someone who's considering downsizing or moving?
Yeah, the most important thing I think is start early. Don't wait to the last minute because it becomes very overwhelming, and really break the process down into small steps. Don't start by saying, I'm going to do the whole, garage this weekend. Take a couple of drawers, maybe in the kitchen first, or a section of your closet. Keep it small, keep it simple, and break it into small steps so that it's just not so overwhelming. And even if you don't think you want to move in the near future, it's still a good time to start going through things. Decluttering is good for your soul, it's for your, there's studies show that having too much clutter actually causes stress. So we see with a lot of clients, even just starting the process, they feel a sense of relief. So start early, and also start having conversations with your family to really understand what they want or are willing to take. It's kind of an interesting time in society. We have two generations downsizing at the same time. People in their 80s and 90s are just moving, as into independent living or assisted living. And they saved everything from their parents. They were happy to have it, and they were saving everything to pass on to their children who are baby boomers. And, baby boomers bought all their own things and acquired and, filled their houses with beautiful things, but a lot of baby boomers are now downsizing into a townhome or a condo. So they're trying to pass things on as well. Our millennial children and grandchildren are more experiential. They don't want as many things. So it's kind of an interesting time in that people have a lot of family things to pass on, but not a lot of maybe family interests. So we actually spend a lot of time helping people figure out what to do with the things that they aren't taking with them.
Mm. And as far as using the word move manager, like you were saying, starting sometimes with just some drawers, in the kitchen, because my personality is I can get overwhelmed with all the stuff, all the tasks that need to take place. My wife would be, she's a good move manager because she is systematic. She will start and focus on one area. She handles that and it's done. Next to the next task, and I'll have several unfinished projects.
Right.
Like I'll start on this drawer, I'll get distracted. I'm over here looking through boxes, and I'm sure you experience this as well. Is sometimes people can get stuck in going back in time. They'll open a box, and next thing you know, they're just looking through things and
Yeah.
almost shutting down in a way, right? So
Yes. And that's why it's like, it's good to have someone there to sort of help guide you through the process. And we always suggest, like, if you do start some decluttering or downsizing, it's nice to have someone help you, even if, you could hire someone like us or a professional organizer, or just have a friend to do it with, because it is nice to have someone to talk to and share those memories with. And then sometimes to have someone suggest, okay, you have great memories here. You've enjoyed this item or this furniture, whatever it is, but it's time to let it go and say goodbye. And to have someone help you with that process is valuable, I think.
And I know you can sometimes come across what we can call professional collectors.
Yes.
Yes. Have a hard time going through some of that stuff. So walk us through real quick. How does the process work and how long does a typical move take? I know that's a little bit of a loaded question of how long. I guess it depends on several things, but kind of go through those two.
So moves, it really, it can really vary, because there are some clients that we work with for a few months. They might be moving into an apartment at a new community or something that's being renovated. And we might even get involved. We've gotten involved with picking out cabinetry and countertops and paint colors and things like that. But then we have clients who maybe had a fall, coming out of rehab, have too many steps in their house, have found they have to go to some sort of assisted living, and they need to move next week. So it really varies. We have a pretty large team. I have 35 people who work for me. And that's great, because it does give us flexibility to kind of sometimes squeeze people in at the last minute. But generally, I would say we like a good 3 to 4 weeks if we can to, meet the client, do some downsizing. And generally our moves are a 3-day process. We'll pack on the first day. The next day we load the moving truck and deliver to the new home, unpack as much as we can so that if the client needs to stay there that night, they can settle in, and then come back the final day and hang all the art and sort of do all that fun fluff stuff.
Yeah.
But that's kind of our general process.
Do you sell the things that they don't have a further use of?
So we don't sell things personally. There are some move managers that do, but we manage the process. So we work with estate sale companies. There are also companies now that do online estate sales and auctions. So that means you don't have people walking through your house. They take pictures, they put it online, they sell things that way. We work with consignment stores and see if we can get things sold. And then we have lots of great local partners that will come pick up items for free and make sure they get to people that need it in our community. So there's lots of great donation resources in Atlanta. So we really make sure that our clients' items are used and appreciated. Again, we want to make sure that everything is reused. We don't want to just have things thrown away. So
Yeah.
we spend a lot of time going through that process.
You had kind of touched on it earlier, but I kind of want to highlight it again. So when you're meeting with, say, the elderly person that's going to be moving into assisted living, do you try to have as many of the family members as possible be a part of the meetings? Because I know how sometimes challenging it can be to where you think you're speaking with the right person, and then you go through all that, and then later find out you almost have to go over it all again. So maybe I had a lady reach out the other day, and it was in secret. She was living with her daughter, and she wanted to move somewhere. And I'm like, well, is your daughter aware you're wanting to
Right.
move? So do you help with out of state moves or just local?
So we are part of a national association of senior move managers. So there are, I think there's about 800 companies. We're in the US, Canada, Europe, and Australia, which is fascinating. So we do a lot of interstate moves. It's almost like a job share. So
Okay.
we work with another company. So for instance, recently we moved a client from Atlanta into Virginia, and we partnered with a move manager in Virginia. We worked together on the floor plan. They went and measured the new community, so we knew exactly the dimensions. We had all the furniture. We did all the packing. We hired the movers. We sent tons of pictures, the floor plan, everything was clearly labeled, and they met the truck, got everything unloaded and set up, and it works both ways. So it is so helpful to have someone help you through this process, because we have had calls from communities that will say, we have a resident that's just moved in and they brought too much stuff and they are overwhelmed, and their family said they'd help unpack, but nobody can show up because they're busy until next week. And, we'll come in and help people through that. But our goal is to have people move into the assisted living or independent living community and start enjoying all the services that are there right away. We don't want somebody who's, it's already stressful to move. Moving is one of the most stressful things you can go through. And obviously, when you get older, there's a lot of times there's other reasons for the move, the health changes or being near family.
Don't want to move, but have
Yeah,
to.
don't want to move,
Yeah.
have to move. And so we want to make it as easy as possible, and we want to get people settled in. And that's why, on that second day, we are out there completely unpacked. They're enjoying their home, and that's what's most important.
Yeah. Do you help people choose where they live?
No, that is not what we do. That's what you do.
That's right. And
Yeah.
that's what all local placement advisors do. So, I mean,
Right.
along with the services you provide, which is phenomenal, I think and that's part of the reason behind this show, is to try to get as much, content available so people can see all the resources that are available to them, because so many people don't know, and
Yeah.
you're under so much pressure dealing with the circumstances you're facing with your life that it can be overwhelming. And there's so many services like yourself, and literally every category of decisions they need to make, there's a service there for it. And they
Yeah,
can just really make a phone call and just focus on the important things they need to focus on with their family members.
Yeah, I think that's one of the hardest things for our industry, is just letting people know there is so much support out there. And I just think it's so important to talk to someone trusted in the industry. Like you're going to refer to people you know and trust. I refer to people I know and trust. So I think that's just, it's really important. And with more people aging, the more important this industry is going to be.
Yeah. And on an important note, on a personal note, you and I were talking, and we both, the personal situation with your family is what led you to start this company to begin with. And you and I both are currently, our mothers are in hospice, right? So understanding what that's like and realizing that while that's going on, that's why we reach out even more so to go, just call. It's like if anybody has questions or having to consider this, there's your website and there's the phone number for them to reach out and just make a phone call and have a conversation. And allow you to just sit down and answer all their concerns, their worries, their fears, and the um, the logistics of it all. And that's
Right.
what you're there for, is to handle all of those the decisions. Is
And honestly, it's just to that point. I've been in this industry for, like I said, almost 8 years. And when my mother was in the hospital for 8 days, about a year and a half ago, I didn't like, I've heard stories about how hard it is to deal with hospitals, but I didn't really understand. And then trying to figure out, was she going to be discharged, when she'd been discharged, where she could go, like rehab. Like I didn't, even though
hmm
I'm in this industry, I still needed help. So,
yeah.
it can be overwhelming and confusing. And like you said, when you're in the throes of it, that's the worst time, when you're under all this stress to figure it out.
Mhm.
So any time we can spread the word and just let people know that there are people out there to help you, I just think that's so
Yeah.
important.
Yeah, because life still goes on, right? We
Exactly.
still have our, aside from the personal situation with our own family members, we still got our own homes and marriages and responsibilities and businesses to run and jobs to go to, and it can be a lot. Let me ask you something interesting, because I always like thinking about people starting a business. What was it like when you got your first client?
I still remember my first client.
You-
Um, it was, and at that time it was just me doing everything. And
Well,
it
you're like,
was,
oh no, the
oh,
phone rang.
it was like so scary. It was like, oh, I really think I could do this, and now I really have to do it. And he didn't know till later that he was my first client. Sweet,
Yeah.
sweet man. And I actually moved him again a couple of years later.
Oh wow. Okay.
But he, I, of course, I really didn't know what I was doing pricing wise. So I didn't really make any
Exactly.
money, but I
Yep.
learned a lot. And the most important thing was I, felt a sense of accomplishment, and
hmm
that we did it and the move went successfully, and that I loved it and I wanted to keep doing it. So that was the best thing. And my husband and I had moved maybe a year or so earlier. So we had just downsized ourselves. So I had a moving company. I knew they had moved me. So, I had some resources in place, but I was like, oh, packing takes a lot longer than I expected.
hmm
And, supplies were more than I charged, but it was all good. You have to start out
That's
that
the way
way.
you learn. You got to
Exactly.
jump
Yeah.
into the deep end of the pool, as they say.
Yeah.
Kay, is there anything else you'd like to add before we go? Anything at all?
No, I just, just this, again, this industry is just so great. We love working with the older adults and helping them through stressful times, and just being able to spread the word and let people know that, there are services out there, and just try to be a little bit prepared and be
hmm
informed before you're in a crisis mode, I guess, would
Yeah.
be my most valuable lesson.
Because it's on you before you know it, isn't it? It
Exactly.
is there.
Yeah.
Well, Kay, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate this. And of course, if anybody needs any help or want to call, reach out to Kay. There's the number on the website. And if anybody needs any help with assisted living, memory care, independent living, or in-home care, we're here to serve. So with that said, Mark Little, CareQuest podcast show, and we will catch everybody on the next episode.